Okay. Yeah. Okay. And nobody else wants to switch on their videos. Thank you, Shruti. Okay, no problem. Let's get started. I'll share my screen. Just a moment. I'm checking. Not giving the desktop option. Okay, not a problem. Let's go. Yes. So today we are getting into our curriculum. The first part, just a moment. Can't see myself. Can you see me? Yes?
We can see.
Yeah, just a moment. Yes, done. You can see my screen fully?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear? That's what I meant. Sorry. Is it clear? My voice is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, fine, thank you. Okay, let's get into the topics. First topic is language and computer programming languages. Okay, what is language? Can anybody tell me what is a language? What is general language like Telugu, Hindi, English? What is a language and what it is
What
used?
we use for communication?
Yes. So what it consists of?
Some letters.
Yeah.
Like that. Meaning.
That's good. Yeah, actually language consists of instructions basically, correct? So when it is used for communication, it is we use instructions or expressions. Is that correct? Is that correct? Do you think so? Yeah. So it consists of instructions and what else? Expressions, correct? So similarly, our computer language also consists of instructions and expressions. Okay. So if you know the language features, you will be knowing the computer programming language features also, because it's also a language, right? So it should have all the features what a normal language has, so that but the difference is computer programming language is used to communicate with the computers, whereas normal language is used to communicate with the human beings, correct? And this language, suppose I am speaking to you, so how it is been processed in within you? Can anybody tell me? Suppose I am telling you, like, please open, please turn on your videos, right? There is a statement. So how you process that information within you, that instruction? How you know that, how you interpret, how your brain interprets that I have given an instruction and you have to respond to that. So how that is been processed in your brain or mind? Can anybody tell me? Just, you know, everybody knows this. Just speak, that's it.
By listening.
Yeah. After that, what happens? Can you tell me the entire process? Anybody else also? Not a problem.
After listening, our brain takes the command
Uh-huh.
and like
Yeah. Go ahead. That's right.
and will process in the sense like we will only execute the command.
Right.
With our body, we will execute the command by switching on the video or off on the video, and our brain gives the command to us.
Very good. Very good. Okay, that's perfect. So I will just add few more things to that. How it processes. It takes commands from the, suppose when you are listening, your nervous system first of all gets activated. Like nervous system is whatever is there in your ears. You are listening, right? Your senses basically takes the input. Okay, so your ears will, the nervous system in your ears takes the input from outside, and then it converts that into electrical signals, pulses, we say impulses, electrical impulses, and that those signals will be passed. So here the input is been converted, or the high level language input is been converted into electrical pulses, and then that is being sent to your brain. That is the processing unit. Like what you need to respond will be decided there in your brain. So brain received in what type of input it received? Electrical signals or electrical impulses, right? So that how it will process, it has to know like what is video, where the button is, that information it should have, right? Suppose you don't know where it is, means that's if that is not there in your memory, like where the button is, the to switch on the video, how it will process? It cannot process, right? So what happens, it the brain takes the data that is there in the brain, sorry, memory. Like the button is there here, that's been stored in your memory. It takes from the memory and process the signals according to the instruction given. Instruction is switching on, right, turning on the video. So what it does, like it will send to your hand signal. It sends the signal to your hands, and then your hands will go to the particular button, and then you will switch on. Or suppose if you don't want to do that, you will keep quiet, the hands will not respond. Okay, so that depends on the brain signals. Suppose if your brain is telling you that not to turn it on, then you will not turn on, your hands will not receive any signal. It depends like how you want to do it. So that's how here if you observe, uh, few things are happening. So one is you are taking the input from something. So what is that input? The instruction from outside. Who is taking the input? What is the input device here? Who is taking that inside? Nervous system. Is that correct? Nervous system. Your ears are taking the inputs. And this is called input device. I think everybody knows about input output processing unit, central processing unit, everybody knows. But I just want to explain once again, because this is very, very important. This is very fundamental, basic one. If you are clear in this, then it's very easy how the programming languages work. Okay. So here input will be taken from the ears or the nervous system in the ears. Okay. So the input, first one is input. Next one, what happened? The high level signals, the high level words are being converted into signals. So your language is converted into the signals that can be understood by your brain. Is that correct? So some conversion is happening here. And after the signals reach the processing unit called brain. So brain is processing the instructions here, right? So that is called central processing unit in our computer. Okay, we can relate our body, our communication system with our computer. It works almost the same. Okay, if you know our system well, it will be very easy to relate to the computer system. All right, are you getting me? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the central processing unit here is what? Brain in our body. Okay. What it is doing? It is taking inputs from our memory and processing based on the data available there as per the instruction given, and giving the output back to the corresponding part. Like it is our hands or it's our eyes or whatever action you have to take, it will. Suppose if you have to, if I say stand up, then it will send a signal to your legs. All right. Okay. So here the output device is like again different body parts. Okay. So here input devices are in your body senses. Senses are like a nervous system behind your senses. All right. And that will be converted into electrical impulses and then sent to the brain. Brain takes the help of memory, and that will send the output to your output devices. That is called your body parts. Similarly, in the computer, if you see, just let me scroll down here. If you see, this is the same architecture what I explained. Here, the memory unit is there. This is the central processing unit, input devices, output device. So, input device is what in our computer? Everybody knows, but still I am asking, what is input device in our computer? Keyboard, and what else?
Mouse.
Yes. Okay. So these are the basic, these are the basic input devices which we use. We can use many others also, like joystick or something like that, writing pen, something like that. Okay, those are also input devices. All right. So your camera is also giving some input to show your face on the screen. That's also taking the signal, right? And showing the face on the computer system. Okay. So like the different input devices are there. From that, suppose in your from your Windows, from the desktop, if you type some command, some search command, then what happens? It will take like suppose I want to open Excel. What will you do? You'll go to the search bar and give Excel. Then it will open the corresponding application. Correct? So here you are giving command to the Windows system. All right, it is taking some command and opening the corresponding thing. Like suppose if you give Excel, it is taking that Excel needs to be opened. So it is understanding somehow. Right, these things are done by the programs behind the screens. Okay, so this is how our system here. If you see central, can you see my screen? Can you confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you are able to see this picture, no? One human architecture. Yeah. So here in the central processing unit also we have memory unit is there, control unit is there, arithmetic logic unit is there. Suppose if you are performing any logical operation or number related operation, this will be done by arithmetic logic unit. Suppose if you are performing any process flow related things, it will be done by that will be processed by control unit. All right. Then this entire system central processing unit will give the output to the output devices. That is our screen. All right. Okay, so this is how we can relate our language. So here what you have to observe, main thing is like next topic, this will come in the next topic. That is interpreter versus compiler. Before moving to that, I would like to discuss the types of programming languages. Okay, now you know what is computer language. It is also a language that gives instructions to the system to perform certain action. Right? Did you get what is computer language? Can somebody repeat? Can somebody tell me what is computer language? It is a language in which we
Which
write
gives
instructions
instructions
to
to
perform.
perform certain actions.
Very good. So, in the suppose if you have to write any language, you should know what instructions you have to give, right? So, suppose in Telugu, if you speak, in English, if you speak, I want to learn this. That is one instruction. Or show me the picture. If I say, that is one instruction you are giving. Similarly, if you have to give instruction, you can give in your own language, like some high level language which you can understand, or can the system understand your words directly? Can you think of it? Suppose if you say, I want this, show me this, show me this picture. If you say that, can the computer understand? Can it understand directly?
Uh, like Google and all, it will convert our language to binary code and give it.
Yes, yes. So what happened if you observe our body communication system, how it happened? Like the nervous system converted our high level language, like whatever we have spoken, into signals, right? Certain electrical impulses which the brain can understand. Similarly, in our system also, computer system also, whatever we give, whatever instruction we give, those are understandable by us, will not be understandable by the system. So what it has to do to process that, it has to convert the high level language instructions into its form, byte codes. Okay, it can understand only bits and bytes. You know, everybody know, like bytes, bits, megabytes. These days you are using, right? 10 GB memory is there, 100 GB memory is there, something like that. Okay, so the system can understand only in bits form. Bits is zeros and ones, only binary form it can understand. So what happens if you give high level language instructions? You can give, okay. And if you give high level language instructions, it has to perform certain conversion into its understandable form, that is into low level, okay. And then it will process and sends the output again in our understandable form. Again the conversion takes place there. So if you observe this, till now I have given in this discussion itself, I have given two things, low level and high level. I have given already. So types of languages, there are three types of languages. Basically many people say only two types, low level and high level. Okay, there are two types of languages. High level languages is the name itself shows, like high level means we can understand, where the system cannot understand. All right, directly. If you don't do anything, if you say, if you give some instruction, the system cannot understand. This is understandable by humans, by us. Okay, that is high level language, programming language. Suppose if you take low level language, the other thing, what it does, it is low level, it is at the hardware level, means it is a language in the form of bits and bytes. Suppose if you see, I'll show you the example. See here, the machine code, how it is. If you see here, machine code, in what form it is there? Zeros and ones, binary form, correct? Binary form. So if the code is converted into this form, machine code, this is called machine code. This is called low level language code. Okay, understood? Is it clear? What is high level language and what is low level language? Can somebody tell me what is low level language?
Which the system can understand.
Yes.
It's called
So
low level.
it is in which form?
language.
Yeah,
Binary.
binary
Bytes,
form.
bits and bytes.
Yes, it is zeros and ones. We can also say that binary form. What is high level language?
Human
Which we can
understandable
understand.
language.
Very good. Okay. Other thing, middle level language is also there. This many people may not
Assembly language.
consider. Yes, assembly language. I will show you the code. This is like almost similar to low level language, and we cannot say it is completely high level language. It is completely low level language. So here, if you see the code, assembly language, if you see here, this is the example for assembly language code. If you see here, you see here, see ADDL, addition, MOV, move. For moving something, we will write MOV. Okay. Here and operation, something like that. Some codes are there. These are like similar to high level language, but it is not completely high level language. It is not giving fully like move, MOV, move. It's not giving like that, right? And here if we see certain codes, these we cannot understand completely, but they will be in hexadecimal code, and hexadecimal code can be understandable by the system, like can be converted into the bits and bytes very easily. So it is middle level language, we can say. But some people consider that as low level language also, assembly language. Basically, actually, it is a middle level language we can consider, or else it can go into low level language because it's almost very near to the machine language, correct? But here also, we have to do certain processing to make the system understand. System is hardware, our hardware system. To understand the code, the central processing unit should have to understand, means it should be converted into the machine understandable code, that is machine code. Understood? Got it? So three types of programming languages are there. Again, if we get into, so is these three types are clear, no? Can I assume that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm explaining in a high level, overall view, because many people, you all know this. Just giving an overview of it. That's it. Okay, I'm not getting into complete details. If you know this
Okay.
much, this is also enough. Yeah, if you know this much, this is also enough. Like overall idea you should have. Next, if you see the high level languages, again, it is divided into procedural and object oriented programming language. Okay, so high level language, here if you see high level language, it is divided again into procedural and object oriented. This means they both are high level, means the instructions that are given in the procedural language or object oriented language are understandable by the humans. Correct? Because they come into high level language category. So they both contain high level language instructions only, which we can understand. But there is a difference, procedural language and object oriented. I'll give you a real world example, real time example. Procedural language means how it is suppose if you go into a restaurant, suppose a small hotel nearby, how they prepare, like how they serve the dishes, means they'll prepare certain dishes and keep them, and when you go, and if you want, suppose there is sambar, rasam, biryani, and chicken curry, everything is there, that's already prepared and they kept it there. If you go and you as a customer go and ask for certain thing, they will give immediately. Suppose if you ask for, no, this is like I want less spicy chicken curry, I want less spicy chicken curry, or I want more spicy chicken curry. If I want, means can they be able to give? Will they be able to give?
No.
No, because they have prepared the curries already, and they cannot be customized as per your requirement. Correct. So what happens? Like if you prepare everything and give it, that comes like procedural. You may not be able to understand completely now, but going forward, in future, you will be able to understand in the coming classes completely. For example, I'm telling, just take like real example, real world example, then you can relate when we see the code. Okay, is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So procedural is like that, means it cannot be adopted as per your requirement, customized. Means we can do customizations beforehand, before they prepare the curries. Suppose after they prepare the curries, if you somebody comes, I cannot prepare, they cannot prepare. Okay, if it comes to object oriented, how it is like suppose if you go to big restaurants, what do? Suppose if you order some chicken curry, chili chicken. Okay, Chili chicken, if you order, what do? They'll have chicken marinated ready, and they will add few ingredients. If you see the menus of big restaurants, they'll have like they will give you choice, like what toppings. Spicy, how much spicy it should be. You can choose. Suppose if you take pizza, if you go to, they will not keep it ready, right? They'll keep everything ready, and when you order, they will add the ingredients, and they will give as per your requirement. This is also, we can say, in the big restaurants, what they will do like this only. They'll keep all the ingredients, and they will do certain process, and they will keep them ready. And if when you ask for certain types of dishes, they'll prepare immediately. The basic ingredients here are same. Suppose if you want to order a pizza, chicken pizza, the base is same, and chicken they will take and they will put on that, and they'll give with the same base, pizza base. Okay. If you order something else, paneer pizza you order, they will take and they will put paneer pieces on that, and they will give. Means here it's immediate. Correct. Here also in the big restaurants, what they will do, they will prepare suppose if you take biryani, they will prepare the rice separately, chicken curry separately, and then the suppose if you are asking for veg biryani or mixed biryani or something like that, what they will do, they will mix all these things, and they will do certain processing, and they will give as per your requirement. Correct. So here they are doing keeping some certain things separately. So those are called in our programming language, those are called objects. Okay, those are called classes actually. Classes as per your requirement. As per your requirement, suppose if you are changing, you here if you observe, here if you observe what we are doing, we are customizing those classes based on the objects that you are ordering. Like suppose if you are ordering chicken biryani, they are adding these ingredients from the classes, and they are making the chicken biryani. Suppose if you order veg biryani, they are taking the rice and taking the veg curry and mixing it and doing some processing and giving it to you. Okay, we can think like that. You may not be able to understand completely, I understand that, but you just keep this example in your mind. When the time comes, you will be able to understand. All right. So you understood what is procedural and object oriented, at least to some extent. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. It will be little confusing now, I understand, but just try to concentrate just to that level enough. That is enough. Okay, that knowledge is enough for now. Procedural and object oriented programming. Okay, here like if you see the language, actual language, here this procedural language uses mostly functions, but whereas object oriented programming works based on classes, and it deals with the data, dependent on data. Okay, so these are the two types of languages, high level languages, procedural and object oriented. Okay, so is it clear what is language and how the language works, like to some
Yes,
extent?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, next, if you understand interpreter and compiler, then this will be completed. The first part will be completed. So when it comes to interpreter versus compiler, the next topic. So what is interpreter and what is compiler? Let us see. Interpreter is nothing but it takes the input from us and process it immediately. Okay. Processing here is like, suppose for example, in our example, you have taken, I have given an instruction like switch on the or turn on the videos, right? So in this process, what the brain has done, immediately it responded, correct? You switch, you turn on your video. Okay, for example, if you say, means the one instruction it has taken and processed it and given the output immediately. Okay, it didn't wait for me to give all the instructions at once. Correct. Okay. So in that case, what it did, it took the instruction from us, converted that into electrical signals, and given that to the processing unit brain, and then that has processed it, and then output has come. Again, what happened? After you switched on, turned on, what I did, I have given another instruction. Like I am going to start the class now. Okay, so your brain got the signal and got ready to listen to the class. Correct. See here what happened? It has taken the instruction, converted the signals, converted into low level language, and sent it to the processing unit, and then output has come. Means taking the instruction one by one and converting it into the machine language, and then giving the input. Again taking the input and converting it, and then giving it to the processing unit, and then getting the input. So the interpreter is the one, like it takes the instruction from this high level language. Okay, takes the instructions from the high level language line by line. Okay, first line it takes, and then this interpreter is also like a program only. Okay, this is written in such a way that it can convert high level language into bytecode language. Okay, so this interpreter and compiler does the same things, but slight difference is there. What is the difference? Interpreter takes the instruction line by line. First line it takes and checks if there is any syntactical errors or any indentation related errors, any structural related errors. It will check. If no errors are there, then it will convert into the electrical byte code, machine code. All right. So line by line it takes and converts that into machine code. That is the work of interpreter. Okay. And we need at least a compiler or interpreter to process our high level language code. Okay. To get the output, if you want to get the output, you need interpreter or compiler. Suppose if you take in our body, there is no nervous system that can convert the signals like your instructions into electrical signals. Can that be processed by the brain? Can that be processed by the brain? In general, tell me.
No.
No, right? Similarly, in the
No,
computer
ma'am.
also, yeah, in the computer also, it needs something that can convert high level language into the machine code, machine understandable code, low level code. So that one, that particular, that this is also program. So this one is called program is, it's a set of programs, we can say, interpreter or compiler. Now I explain what is interpreter. Interpreter takes one by one and converts that each line once and executes that, gives the output, and then again takes the instruction and then converts and gives. Then now tell me what can be compiler? What is the work of a compiler? It's opposite to interpreter. It does the same thing but in a different way.
Compiler reads the program.
Yeah.
Compiler
Compiler?
reads the program and reads the first entire program and then convert into machine code.
Very good, very good. Who is that? Is it Surya? Who answered now? Okay, very
Yes,
good.
yes, Surya.
So yeah, very good, Surya. That's correct. So compiler takes the entire program and checks if there are any errors are there, syntactical errors, not programmatical errors. Any errors are there. Okay. Syntactical errors means how you have given the instruction, how you have written. Suppose every language, if I am speaking Telugu, in Telugu we have to keep words in a certain way. Naku idi kavali. Okay. Naku idi kavali we are giving. Suppose if you are telling in English, how it be? I want this. In Telugu, kavali is coming at the end. In English, it is coming in between. Right? I want this. Okay. there is a structural difference, right? Suppose if you are giving a C language instruction, it expects the instruction in a certain way, in certain form. That is called a syntax. Okay, I want this. Idi kavali. In C language, something else. Suppose if you are giving that syntax in a different way, it cannot understand, because this compiler is written in such a way, interpreter or compiler are written in such a way that they will check first how the code is being structured, whether it is as per the requirement of that high level language or not, as per the structure of that high level language or not. Every language has a certain structure. If you change the structure, the system also cannot understand. Means the compiler cannot understand, interpreter cannot understand. Okay, so what it does, it gives all the syntactical errors, all structural related errors, all those stuff, and checks once everything is like at that time it converts into intermediate code, we can say. And after that, once everything is cleared, it will the code will get converted into the machine code, and after that it will execute the instructions one by one. If it has to give it has to take the instructions from the from that program, it will take the instructions and will give the output. Okay, so at a time it will be done. Okay, whereas interpreter, it will convert one instruction and then gives the output, waits, takes the another instruction like that. So it is little slow, but it is fine. Immediately you can see the results, where exactly you went wrong or where exactly you did right, like that. Whereas in the compiler, when you compile, the entire code will be compiled, then only you'll get the output, and that time you'll get all the errors. Suppose if there are errors, and you have to search one by one where exactly you did wrong, what you have given wrong, something like that. Okay, so but the advantage of compiler is, like, once the code is compiled completely, no need to compile again and again. Like, it is quick. Suppose if you execute the program 5 times, it will not convert the code into the machine code. 5 times it will not convert. Once the machine code is ready, then it will use that code till you compile again manually. Suppose if you have written one code, so I will show you. I think I have that. Yeah, see here. This C code is here. Can you see? C language code is there here. You have written this code. You compiled it. Okay, you compiled it, and that got converted into the machine code successfully without any errors. And then what it will do, suppose if you run this program again and again, you compile means you have to give certain instructions, control C or something like that, you have to press. That time it will get converted into code. Then you have to give instruction to run the program again in C. If you run the program again and again, then this code only will be used for every run to give the output. Suppose if you give again compile in instruction, then this code will be erased. Again, fresh code will be created. All right. So though it matches this code, it will not. You have given the instruction, compile it again. So it has to obey your command. So then what it does, it will take all the instructions and will see again the same process. Any errors are there? Any process or related errors? Nahi. Only syntactical and structural errors. Okay. So they will be, once they are cleared, once they are corrected, then that will be converted again into machine code. Means only when you compile it, it will generate this code. Till that time when you run, like here you have to do two processes. To running is separate and compilation is separate. Okay, so if you are running without compilation, it will use this code. And suppose if you are compiling and running it, then it will erase this code and generate this code and run it again. Okay, so this is how this works. Whereas if you see the interpreter, how it is working here, source code is there, Interpreter is taking instructions, converting it, and executing the program. One line at a time. And again, it is going back, it is taking, and it is. If you see here, compiler, compiler is taking the source code. This is converting into object code or machine code and giving the output, executing the program. Here, one line, whereas in the compiler, it is the entire program. Did you get the differences? Like what is interpreter, what is compiler, what is advantage of interpreter? And interpreter gives the output quickly. We can check the output quickly, or if there are any errors, one line at a time we can correct. We can, no need to search where exactly we went wrong, something like that, because line by line it will do. Whereas compiler, it will give all the errors at a time, we have to search. But compiler, no need to convert the machine code again and again. Suppose if you are running the same code again in the using the interpreter, then it will generate the machine code again and again. Whenever you run here, there won't be two instructions. Like to compile, to run, no need to give any instruction. Two times no need to give. There only one, only running. Running, when you press run, then it will execute in addition to converting the code. Whereas compiler, first you have to compile, then you have to correct the errors, then you have to run again manually. Okay, control R something you have to give in C language, if I remember correctly. Okay, got it? What is interpreter? So you have seen in the real world example also, right? How the brain works, like how our body works, how our body processes the languages. So can you tell me, is it clear? Can I expect a yes or no from you? If you are clear.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any doubts here? Any
No, ma'am.
doubts? Okay, fine. I assume that everybody understood. Fine. Now I will ask you a question. So you have seen how our brain works, right? How our body takes the communication instructions and process it. So is our brain like our nervous system an interpreter or a compiler? Sorry. Yeah. Our brain or our entire system uses compiler or interpreter.
It can act as both,
Yeah. How?
both compiler and interpreter.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
according to our brain, if you give us instruction to on our video and also on our mic, then if we do both at a time,
Hmm.
then compiling the work. And then if we, just right after you told to on our video, if you want on our video, and right after telling to on our mic, if we on our mic, then it can take as interpreter.
Very good. Very good. That's right. 100%. Okay. So our brain acts as both. Whereas in the computer system, if you see, many of the languages are either interpreted languages or compiler based languages. Very few languages are there which has both interpreter and compiler. I believe, like if I remember correctly, C language is both interpreted and compiler based language. If I remember correctly, I don't remember exactly, but I think I studied some time back. So if you take Python, Python is an interpreted language. Okay, it generates the bytecode line by line. Okay, so this is about interpreter and compiler. Shall we start Python today? Python introduction we will start. We'll see how it goes. Okay, we have 10 more minutes. You want any break or shall I continue? If you take break again, it will extend little more time. Okay, I will continue. Okay, tell me, how many of you are learning Python or any language, or how many of you are interested to join IT industry on your own, like out of your own interest? And how many of you are forced by your parents or somebody else. For their sake, you want to do it. Who, anybody is there like that? Like out of force, you are learning something. Okay. So I'm glad none of you. Okay, everybody is interested to learn. Okay, but here the thing is you have to learn so many things. That time you will feel like, oh my God, I have to learn so many things. I have to work so hard to get into the job. And again, after getting into the job, also I have to work so hard. I don't want, because of my mommy or daddy only, I'm doing this. How many people? If you think like that, I want you to change that mindset. Because if you feel that if you are doing for others sake, you will not get, you will be interested for some time, and after that you will lose interest. Oh my God, so much time I have to spend, I cannot spend that much time. Instead I can sit at home, or I can do a small job like which can give me a livelihood. That's enough, I don't need. Okay, don't think like that. I'll tell you one trick here how you can come out of that. can i give Can I give the trick how to motivate yourself every day to work on your skill development to get into your job? Can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So close your eyes and imagine yourself like suppose if some. How many of you? Just a moment. Yeah. How many of you like if somebody is taking instructions and doing responding to all your instructions without telling no? How many of you like? Who all like that way? Suppose if you are giving instructions to your mom from morning to evening, will she listen? Will she respond to all the things which you say? No, right?
No, ma'am.
No. None of our family members are, none of our friends follow our instructions full day, right? Whenever we give some instruction, they will not take it. Whenever we say something, they will not listen also sometimes, right? But when it comes to, suppose if you take your pets, they will listen to our instructions most of the time, right? But the thing is, what you have to do, you should be able to tell them to listen to your instructions in their understandable language, correct? So what you are doing, if you get a pet, you will learn the language of that pet. Like how if you say something in your language, which the pet can also understand, that language you will use. You will learn that, right? And you will make that your pet also understand your instructions by training it. Correct. So similarly, see here, how many people will be very much happy with their pets? Many people, right? Why we get pets? Because they listen to us whenever we come home. Like the dog comes and hugs us and comes behind us. It's like that. How wonderful it is. It takes all the instructions that you give. How wonderful it is. Similarly, if you learn some language, if you learn how to deal with the system, computer system, you are creating a pet of your own, which takes instructions anytime and gives whatever you want. Like whatever instruction you give, it will behave accordingly. So I have seen many people like playing with Google Assistant or Siri. Do you ever played with Google Assistant? Hey Google, tell me my name. Tell me my mother's name. Uh,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's so wonderful, right? It is taking our instructions and giving whatever we want. So you are creating a pet there. Similarly, if you know how to deal with the system, how wonderful it is. So if you learn Python, oh my God, A plus B, I can do so easily in the Python code. So means you are giving the instruction, it is giving the output. You are able to communicate with that. It is obeying your commands. Show me the hello world. It is showing, right? How good it is. It is one thing. And one more thing, it is at a low level, and at a high level, I will say how to get the interest. Suppose if you join a company, you'll be part of a certain product, right? You will be serving the client. So you will be developing some products, some reports, or some like programs, something like that. Okay, which can perform certain tasks. So you're doing it for a client, right? The client can be very big. Suppose if you take me, I worked for example, I'm telling, I worked for Warner Brothers. You all know about Warner Brothers, right? Harry Potter movie is been built by Warner Brothers, right? Harry Potter, Titanic, all those movies were built by Warner Brothers. That's the biggest studio. They have biggest studio in US. I worked for them. Okay, I worked for them in the US in their office. That time, how proud and how happy I felt. Like because of the knowledge I acquired, because of the knowledge I have in the computer field, I'm able to go there and serve them. And such a big company. I am a very small person. If I think from a very small town, and I'm able to serve them, they are using my product. How wonderful it is to think. See, such a big company is using my report till today also. How good it feels to you if you feel like that. So think that way, big way, so that you'll get some interest. So my name will be there in all their reports. Suppose if you create some report, you will write your name also. The creator developer name also will be there in that report or interface or whatever you develop certain product. They will be using the entire Warner Brothers will be using. Similarly, many other clients. I worked for Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers is such a big investment bank. Okay, for that I worked. So, investment bank, world's number one investment. Suppose, of course, it's not there now, but I felt so proud when I was roaming in Warner Brothers studios. Everybody has to pay $60 there to roam in their studios. I was roaming there free of cost every day. Whenever I want to go, like there, some restaurants are there inside the studio. If we have to take anything, we have to go there. I used to roam very freely, like without paying a single penny there. So wonderful it is. I worked for Vitara, one company that is a Canada-based company. Okay, so they served India when the food emergency was there in India. Okay, so they supplied wheat for India when food emergency was there. Like huge supplier of wheat, Vitara, such a big company. So when I worked there, my products have been used in their company till today also. So how beautiful it is to think the company which served India, they are using my products. For that, if you get that feeling like that proudness in you, you will learn anything easily. Like to reach to that level, what I have to do? I have to work from now on. Okay, I have to get some proficiency in certain things. Then whatever you develop will be successful, and they will different clients will be using. And if you are serving to them, means how great it feels. Such a small town girl went to the US and did something for such a big company, means how great it is. You have seen many people like that in NASA recently, that Mars mission. Swati, one girl is there. She led that mission. How wonderful it feels, because she has that proficiency in that field. She developed in that field. Like that, whichever field you choose, you just feel this every day. Imagine that, visualize that. That serving to such a big company is a proud moment for you. Correct. So develop that mindset every day, visualize, and then you will get the interest automatically. Do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is the trick you have to take. Not like I am going there for my mother's sake, for my father's sake. If you think like that, like life will be boring. It will not be interesting. If you are excited about something, then you will get the strength automatically. That is it. I think it's 7 o'clock. Shall I start? At least the Python history and the companies use this won't take much time. Shall I? Shall I continue for another 5 minutes? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will explain the features of Python tomorrow, but tomorrow uses of Python, all those stuff tomorrow. Now let us see history of Python, companies that use flavors of Python, all those things. Okay, Python, as you know already, is a high-level language. Okay, high-level language. I'll tell few of the points, and it is a general-purpose language. Okay, general-purpose language is nothing but it can be used for any purpose. It is not specifically like if I want to work on AI only, this language is used for only AI. In that case, it is a specific purpose language. Can you see this? I'll change the. This is specific purpose language, means that is used for that purpose only. Yesterday I was telling, if you remember, I told that I worked in PeopleSoft. There we use certain language, people code, that is used only for developing the PeopleSoft applications, right? So that is called specific purpose language, whereas Python is a general purpose language. Okay, you can use for many different purposes. Developing scientific programs, here it is. For developing web applications, web scraping, and scientific programming, image processing. In robotics also it will be used. Data science also it is used. In data analysis and data mining also it is used. Okay. So these are all the places where we can use Python. So can we say it as a general purpose language? I'm covering this also quickly. Okay, as much as possible. Can we say it is a general purpose language? Python?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. It is open source. What is open source? Any idea? Just 5-10 minutes I will take. I'll finish it off. What is open source? Any idea? Can anybody tell me? Open source language. Open source is nothing but it is freely available. Means it is, we can download the code freely from the internet. No need to pay. Uh, no need to pay any price for that. No need to pay any cost. Like you no need to buy it from the vendor, whoever sells it. It is available on the internet. You can download it and you can immediately use it. That is called open source program. Okay, it is high level. Already you know, we can understand the instructions very easily in Python. Like if you give 2 plus 3, it will give the output 5. Okay, means it is able to understand. It is at the high level. No need to give like if for 2, 0, 1 or 1, 0 like that. No need to give in byte codes. So it is a high level language. And simple to write, this one we will see tomorrow. Simple to write, read, maintain, how it is very simple, and we will see. Okay, portable, this is a platform independent. Like this Python can be downloaded on any machine, like Mac systems or Windows machine or Unix, Linux. In any system you can download. So this is platform independent. Okay, nowadays the few versions are coming to use for Android and iOS also. Android, and these are related to mobile applications. Okay, so nowadays it is coming. It's not that much popular now as uh, uh, for Python. Python is not much used here, but there are some versions of Python which can be used on Android or iOS also. Extensible is the second, this point. Extensible is it can be easy to integrate with other languages or modules into Python. Suppose if you want to use C code in Python, you can integrate. Suppose C has certain libraries, certain code, okay, and you want to integrate that with Python, you can do that. You want to integrate Java with Python, you can do that. That is called extension. You are extending Python features to Java features also. So this is called extensible language. You can integrate to any other language. It is reusable also. Suppose if you write certain code, you can use it anywhere. Okay, in such a way you write the code. That is called reusable code. That feature is there for Python. This procedural loops we will see. I explained, but as per Python, what are the features of procedural and oops concepts related to Python? I'll tell. Dynamically typed also I'll tell. Interpreted, you have seen. What is interpreted? Python is an interpreted language. So it takes the instructions one by one and converts that and gives the output line by line. A rich set of libraries also we'll see tomorrow. Okay, so what points we have covered today? Open source, it is an open source language, general purpose language, high level and portable, platform independent and extensible, reusable also. So these points we have seen. Tomorrow we'll see the remaining points. You have seen where and all we can use Python. Web applications, you know, right? What is web applications? Where we used web technologies like related to internet. Web scraping is this and all I'll explain tomorrow. Web scraping you might know, like taking certain inputs from the sites available and processing that. Suppose from Amazon, like what phones are there and processing them into your system. You are developing certain other system. Cache Karo is there. So there what they do, they take the inputs from the Amazon and they'll keep the advertisements or information about Amazon products in their system, Cache Karo. So that is nothing but they are scrapping from that site and keeping it in their site. So that is scientific programming, you know already, like used for scientific purposes, like in the rockets and all. Robotics, in robotics also they use Python. They can use data science to deal with big data, like huge amounts of data. This data science deals with huge amounts of data. So there also they use Python extensively. What and all I am going to explain will be related with data science only initially. Data analysis, data mining is generating certain reports and analyzing. Suppose my company sales this year is for these 6 months is this much, and I want to predict the sales for the next 6 months. That is called data analysis. In that case, also we can predict the next 6 months sales using Python. For such kind of purposes, also Python can be used. Okay. Shall I continue or shall we close for today? Just this history of Python and companies that use. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Why hurry barily we have to explain. If we have any doubts, please feel free to communicate with me. I think many of you are not communicating openly. Okay. I'm very open. Like you can communicate anything. If there needs to be some adjustments, I will adjust myself or else I'll continue the same way. Any doubts today?
No, ma'am.
No doubts? Shall I ask questions?
Okay.
Okay. Can one person summarize what we discussed today? All basics only. Just what you learned today. So that I'll get confirmation that at least one person benefited out of today's class. Okay.
Types of programming languages,
Yes.
types of high-level languages, procedural, object-oriented.
Very good. So what are types of languages available? Base high level, like at the
And what is interpreter?
What is interpreter? One more thing. What is
Compiler.
And
compiler?
what is compiler?
Very good. Can somebody tell me what is interpreter? How it works? Because that's very important. If anybody asks, you should be able to give the answer.
Line by line.
It takes line by line, converts and gives the output immediately. Okay.
Yes.
Whereas compiler,
Checks the entire code
Entire code, converts that and
and
gives
gives
the output at a time,
output.
at once. Okay, line by line it will not give. So which one is better you feel?
Interpreter.
Interpreter.
Maybe based on softwares also now.
Yeah, based on our requirement we have to choose.
Very
Because the interpreter, it gives the input, output immediately, but it is little slow. It will convert, and every time when you run, it has to generate the code again and again, machine code. Whereas in the compiler, no need to generate the machine code every time you run the program. So it will be quick. Okay. The difference is there. Suppose if you are giving importance to your time, then you can go for that. Suppose if you want ease of working, you can go for interpreter. Okay. So if it gives 1,000, you have 50,000 lines of code, and if you compile that at a time, and if it gives around 5,000 errors, it's very difficult to know where you went wrong, right? In when you take compiler. So in that case, interpreter is good, but it takes time. If time is important for you, you have to select that. Not only that factor, it depends like which your company, which language your company chooses, that you have to work. The company chooses this way, and based on the purpose, like what is the purpose of your products. Based on that, also languages is been they select the languages. All right. Okay. Hope we have a fruitful session today, though we have discussed a few things today, but I think they are useful, they are needed also. These basics should be clear. Then only you have to go into learning any language or anything. Okay. So we are 14 minutes past our time. Fine, thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow. If you have any doubts or any technical difficulties in Zoom, just let me know so that I'll try to help you, see how I can help you. All right? Okay. If you have any
Yes, ma'am.
doubts so far or any general doubts also related to the industry, you can ask me. Okay? Related to the industry, how you have to prepare. You can ask me personally also, not a problem. You can send me direct message. All right. Any technical related things or the class related things. We initially we will go little slow, and after that, like once we enter into the language, it will be little fast only. It won't take much time. Okay, I want to give you solid base, then you can build on that. Suppose if I have to explain something, I will explain little bit 25%. If I explain, you can build another 25% on that. 50% if you are there at the 50% level, another 50% you can like search from Google or somewhere when it is required. So that much is enough. What is there in that? That is important to know. Once you know what and all features are there, how they work, then it's very easy to cope up, like to go ahead. All right. Okay, my dears. We'll meet to next week. Sorry, tomorrow I said. At next week, Monday. What is the date? 24th. We'll meet again on 24th. And at that time, we will complete Python introduction, installation, and certain things. We'll go a little fast in next week. Okay. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, good night. Yeah, good night. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.